This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad and live today. There is a day for everything. And when I say everything, I mean it. It seems as though the calendars were up for grabs and people began to plant their flags claiming particular days as their own in order to celebrate whatever they find to be important. And thus we have days in which we celebrate certain foods like National Popcorn, Pizza, or Peanut Butter Days. We have days to celebrate actions such as National Hugging Day or National Dress Your Pet Up Day. And we have those days that are just kind of plain bizarre, such as National Bubble Wrap Day, Polka Dot Day, and Ditch Your New Year's Resolution Day. While many things might fall into the category of questionable in terms of worthiness to celebrate, I think we can all agree that one group deserves praise and recognition, and that is women. This past Wednesday was International Women's Day, a day set aside to celebrate and to recognize women who've made an impact in our lives. These are the ones that have raised us, who've walked with us, supported and defended us, inspired us, and have led us in our world today. These are the ones that have influenced us within our homes, as well as on a global scale. Now, one might question as to why need a special day such as this at all, as women should be celebrated every day. And I wouldn't argue this point one bit. I mean, women should receive all the accolades that they deserve all the time. However, the reason that a day is set aside is because this hasn't always been the case. Women haven't always been viewed in a positive and encouraging light, and our gospel for this morning clearly demonstrates this fact. Our story has Jesus sitting at a well, taking a break from his journey. Now, the disciples, they go to the city to grab some grub, and so it's just Jesus there at the well, all alone, until a woman walks up to draw water with her bucket. As she approaches the well, Jesus asks her to give him a drink. Now, this is problematic on many levels, and the woman is the one to remind Jesus of this. She says, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask of drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" She's jogging Jesus' memory that men and women, they don't converse like this because a woman's role was to be, in a sense, the property of the husband. And on top of that, this woman is a Samaritan, and Jesus is a Jew. These two groups, the Samaritans and the Jews, they don't get along real well at all, to put it mildly. So why would Jesus have anything to do with her? Why would he speak to her? Why would he be asking her for a drink of water? After all, it isn't International Women's Day, and it wasn't National Good Samaritan Day either, which, by the way, is celebrated tomorrow on March the 13th. Like I said, there is a day for everything. But anyway, Jesus has no business giving this woman any attention whatsoever. Yet he does. He doesn't care what barriers have been constructed. It doesn't faze him what society might think of this encounter. The interaction that he has with this woman at the well shows us that there is no need for a societal barrier in our lives. They're all man-made. They're implemented by those who are in power and in charge, those who might be stronger than the other. Jesus looks at these barriers that separate him from the woman, and he says, "I have no need for them." Jesus is saying to society, "Oh, there's a woman here at the well? I'm not supposed to speak with her? Okay, watch this. Oh, this woman is a Samaritan on top of that, and the Samaritans and the Jews, they aren't supposed to be getting along? Okay, watch this." Jesus proceeds forward with the intent to not only speak with this woman, but to offer her the gift that God has for all his people. Jesus has never really been bothered by what people think of him. He does what is right, and knocking down the societal barriers that separate him from the woman, that's what he chooses to do. Jesus will cross any line. He'll scale any fence. He'll bust through any wall like the Kool-Aid man. Nothing will stop or hinder Jesus from approaching God's children who reside on the other side of him. For Jesus is the one who's going to go out there and look for the one lost sheep. Jesus is the one who's going to turn that house upside down in order to find that one lost coin. Jesus is on a mission to transform the hearts of all people bringing them closer to God and the living water that he has to offer, that being the gifts of grace and mercy which flow from him. In his conversation with this woman, Jesus asked for water to quench his thirst, but even more so, he's offering this woman this living water from God. This living water is something special that cannot be drawn from a well. It comes from Jesus and the cross. This living water will nourish and sustain our souls. It will strengthen and guide us in our journeys of faith. It will motivate and empower us to look beyond ourselves and to our neighbors, whoever those neighbors might be. By offering the living water to this woman, who couldn't be further like Jesus, Jesus is saying that all are welcome to drink from this divine fountain, and that all that do drink of it will never be thirsty again. They will discover God's gracious forgiveness, and they will bask in a life that is eternal. This living water is that current that continues to flow and move us in the direction that God would have us go, one that is filled with love and compassion for God's people, all of his people, even those who might seem to be way different from ourselves. Jesus sharing this living water with the woman at the well opens us up to new possibilities as this paradigm shifts from barriers to openness. He's in a sense saying that when we draw a line between ourselves and other people, guess what? Jesus will always be on the other side of that line. He's crossing over. He's seeking out the sinner, the disenfranchised, the outcast, the ones out there on the periphery, those just hanging on to the fringes of society. He's saying that no matter what we think of ourselves, we really aren't that much different from everyone else. For we all fall short of God's glory and his expectations. We're all sinners, just like those people that we try to separate ourselves from. The living water is that which stirs things up and makes us realize that though we have differences with one another, we're really all the same. We are imperfect children of God seeking to be reconciled with our Creator so that we might find true happiness, success, and hope for our futures. Jesus is the one who delivers that to us. He is the source of living water that quenches our aching souls. And while every day we should be celebrating this goodness that Jesus shows to us, Jesus also has his own day of recognition. We call that day Easter, the day that sin and death have finally met their match, the day when God's love for the world is revealed to all, allowing us direct access to our God. There is no question that this is a day worth celebrating. Amen. Remember as you go about your day that yesterday is gone, tomorrow does not yet belong to you. So why not live today, knowing that you never walk alone? We'll see y'all next week. Later.